call him a sauna enthusiast. Sauna
Wow.
enthusiast. We have Ralph here to help us dissect the SONA. Kanang SONA, mo na gitawag nila og State of the Nation Address. Ang atong presidente, ikapila na ning presidente nato?
17.
17th President of the Republic will be doing his State of the Nation Address this 4 p.m., right? Usually, asa maning SONA i-hold kaning Hillary?
From what I remember, it's in Batasang Pambansa.
Batasang Pambansa.
Manila, yeah.
Batasang why batasan na batasan unsa nang batasang pambansa unsa pasabot na.
I think it's where the legislative branch really convenes, like quote-unquote office nila.
So legislative mga congressman ni day.
Yeah, the Congress, basically the congressmen and the mga Senate.
Mga senador po to na dito, so maghimo ni siya og speech in front of the representatives and the lawmakers and the senators.
Yeah.
So it's every Sunday.
Monday.
Pardon me. Every this Monday, every what? Every fourth
Monday of July.
Every fourth Monday of July. Ralph, ikaw mga SONA enthusiast ba? Ralph Chavez from the University of the Philippines. Can you give us a brief historical background? Unsa man gining SONA? Dayon nga mag-suna-suna pamanta.
Well,
Know about it.
well, if we're going to look out, well, the main purpose of the SONA, Jude, is for it's public accountability for the most part.
Okay.
It's supposed to show it's supposed to be a show of transparency for the government, and I'm not sure about the history of SONA here in the Philippines. Actually, for the most part, I've mainly been following Philippine politics since 2016. So if we're going to dive into the history of it, I'm not very not well versed in that actually.
So what do we know about SONA kaning Hillary? Like ako ang mahibaw-an nisa is kada so often, like ang tibok Pilipinas, at least my family and people around me would watch a president speak, and everybody would listen, and like we had like experts to talk about their expectations about what she or he will say in the SONA and so on and so forth. So ikaw, give us a more historic perspective kuno about State of the Nation addresses in the Philippines.
So basically, the State of the Nation Address, it's enshrined in the Philippine Constitution. That's under Article 7, Section 23, in which the President shall report in front of the Congress annually. And this SONA, it's every fourth Monday of July. That is actually the opening of the regular session sa Congress. So the session of the Congress, regular session, it opens every fourth Monday of July and it ends mga June. So nari sila murag 1 month kapin, or like mga 1 month na recess ang Congress, and then reopen sila. And the day na reopen sila, that's when the president would give his SONA to them. And yeah, just like what you guys said, SONA, it's basically a form of showing transparency or public accountability. Usually the president talks about basically the state of the nation in terms of other like mga sectors like education, infrastructure, inflation, employment, and other aspects of how our nation is doing. Yeah.
Kaning SONA, that's what it's for on paper, diba? That's what the law is telling the country. Moni ang SONA para sa transparency and so on and so forth, diba? More siyang mahugog progress report, diba?
Yeah.
This is what's happening with your country now at this point, diba? But I know a lot of leaders, a lot of presidents have used the SONA. A lot of presidents in history have used the SONA aside from its mandated purpose, which is to give a progress report of what's happening in the country today, right? Would you be able to identify like some of these other ulterior motives of presidents uh, of the Philippines nga ilahang gibuhat they're not just there to talk about the progress of the Philippines but also other agenda. For example, I'll give you an example. Maybe for maybe political survival, for example. Di ba nga? Maybe maybe a president is unpopular or maybe he is perceived to be doing this or doing that and then he wants to correct it and so on and so forth. Is that common, or do presidents stick to the adherence of what a SONA ought to be? Do you have any thing to add to that? Kaning Ralph, go ahead.
Well, if I think when it comes to how sonas have been used historically speaking, then yeah, I definitely can see how presidents, not just here but even abroad, like to add to little tidbits of information for the most part, where they're basically trying to put forward their own personal agenda. And as I think, as a matter of fact, for the upcoming SONA today, I think some people were talking about how they expect, they fully expect President Marcos to give some comments regarding the recent midterms, because I believe his slate lost pretty hard, diba? So I think there've been a lot of times when presidents will it's well, how I used to look at it simplistically was like the SONA for the most part was how presidents would like to brag about their accomplishments and try to cement their legacy for the most part, like how I did this year, basically. So
And it's like their image rebranding. Kana ganing murag sorry.
mm,
Magpahumot sila sa mga tao. Dili siya ingon like talk about accountability and all that. And for me, and I think makaagwi ang ubang tao, mura na siya pa-showbiz kaayo.
mm,
For me lang.
I think
Yeah.
it has also become an avenue for the presidents to sort of like put forth their promises, diba? Like, for example, I remember the 20 peso na
Yeah, the
rice
rice.
thing. Yeah, it was announced during a SONA. And also last year, I remember it was also announced na iban daw ang mga pogos, effective ban of pogos.
yeah.
So it has been an avenue for presidents to also put forth maybe their campaign promises and other expectations for our nation. Yeah.
Like their plans moving forward.
Yeah. Ako rin maadala kay ang uban po ako mabantayan sa kanyang SONA yung fashion show. Dagan kay sa red carpet. Oo. Like ano need ka that grand to attend a SONA.
Yeah.
Oo. You're listening for that. You're listening for that kind of report, progress report of what's happening in the Philippines. Why do you need to be so grand?
Because I think it's a big deal. It's a
Yes,
big deal, right? And to be invited to a SONA is a big deal. So I guess that's why magrampan na sila diyan, di ba? They have like designer clothes and all that stuff, right? So morang SONA, it is a big deal. I'm curious ba, what's your take on this? Di ba? A president is the one that's conducting or doing the SONA mismo, di ba? And the president is the leader of your country. Di ba? Isn't self-preservation, isn't survival of the office part of the agenda of the SONA, right? Okay, although ang title sa speech niya kay State of the Nation, but the presidency is part of the nation, di ba? So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's also just right for a president, any president for that matter, not just the current one, but any president in any nation. Part sa iyang trabaho of SONA is to make sure nga that the president stays and becomes successful and is even popular, di ba? So part yun na sa iyang agenda, di ba? Dili ka kaingon nga kaning magpahumot siya. Isn't that part of his job also? Not because it's not just him that is magpahumot. It's also the position. I think we have to separate the position from the person, diba? Sometimes nga kung magpahumot ka, kung you sort of pat your own back, kung naka-admire, naka-say good positive reviews about something that you did, you're also doing that to the office mismo ba, right? So what are your thoughts on that, Ralph? What do you think? Is that part of the president's job to make sure that the position, the office, continues?
So yeah, like try and maintain the credibility of the office of the president, basically.
That's part of the job, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's going to be part of your job to, at the very least, appear effective in doing your duties and trying to fulfill your promises, which is probably also why, like they mentioned earlier, during the SONA, a lot of presidents will also like to bring up their future plans because maybe things aren't going well currently, and maybe you have to bring up your plans moving forward in order to say, hey, maybe we're not doing so well right now, but you can look forward to the coming year, something along the lines of that. And what do you guys think? Anything
speechless.
Atong gisgutan karon buntaga is this is like the pre-SONA conversation, right? Nagisgot man ka og kaning magrampa-rampa, mag-fashion show. Kinsa may mga famous politicians or wives of politicians or mga artista baron nga magrampa-rampa rito nga magpakita sila mga manindot kay mga lahas og mga sanina.
Sa akong feed usually sa akong feed usually medyo ang namo trending gid sa ako kasi Amy Marcos man gyud na mag ano.
Unsa may yang gisulob, unsa man yang
nalimot lang to pag last basta kamo ko trending to siya yang kang Sara pud napad si Sara pag last. Natoy one time na mag si Sara kay murag very traditional Filipiniana ang yang gisuot.
Kakuan day si Heart Evangelista day dili siya mo trending day nga fashionista
mo
sa
ba siya? Wala ko kakita niya.
And we don't see.
Really now? Okay,
Yeah.
this is yung apil-apil siguro. So kinsa may mga fashionista day sa to mga politiko day? Gawas nila ni Sara, ni Amy Marcos, kinsa pay lain? First lady, di ba murag simple lang kaning atong first lady karon, dili man kani magrampa-rampa?
Yung oro kay mo.
Okay,
Tanawa ko, please.
But yung outfit ba? Yung outfit, dili ba kayo?
Tabikin sa mga
So, kamo di ako na mo yung mga thoughts mga kigalaan ang SONA karon pang alas 4. Maybe you can tell us this is like the pre-SONA conversation we're having here. Daghan kay mga expectations. Sa may mga expectations sa mga madla people unsa isulti ni kuan ni president, the 17th president of the Republic of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos. Unsa may nanunggan ninyo diha? Ikaw, Hilary. Sunod din si kuan Ralph.
Recently, people want him to address the disaster risk reduction management, especially with the ongoing itong krising and imong karon. And I've also read articles that said na they want for him to address employment rates here in the Philippines, and especially also about the pogo na and e-gambling na mga stuff. That's what I usually read for now.
Yeah, I also heard comments about the gambling problem. A lot of them were bringing that up in a GMA report that I watched. They also mentioned what was that? All right, I'm trying to recall. Gosh, I'm so forgetful. Where was it? The gambling.
Maybe also inflation. No?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually
the inflation, the costs
it's actually
of,
the top thing that the July Pulse Asia survey na adults wanted Marcos to address this Monday sa SONA is the rising prices of basic commodities and services.
Yeah, I think that's probably
economic revival
top one.
sad like especially katong promise nga 20 kilo. I mean 20 pesos
per kilo.
Per kilo de ay. Kay mo ba ito yung controversial nga daghan na doodle daw.
Yeah, there's also this one in sa educational sector. The kanang higher pay for teachers wait lang, let me see. Higher pay for teachers, better facilities, And the I forgot the
Kaning SONA bitaw. Whether we like it or not, it's just a speech, right? There's some.
Yeah.
It's a speech that somebody wrote, or maybe the president wrote himself or herself, and they read it in front of everybody, not just in front of Congress, but in front of the world, in front of the Filipino people. This is just a speech, right? Do people actually take them into account, or whatever they say in the SONA? Kaning SONA, do people take it seriously? Like when you mentioned earlier nga katong gambling, katong pogo nga dito mo to gi-announce, diba?
Yeah.
Did that actually happen? Did he put a stop to it? So kaning, do people trust the SONA as a place where their leader says something and actually does it, or no? Kaning SONA is just a ceremonial thing, just like the graduation ceremony that I talked about earlier. What are your thoughts? Has the SONA lost its power, its luster, or do people still take it seriously?
I'd say based on the street interviews I saw in the reports, it seems like very many of our fellow countrymen still take the SONA seriously, and at the very least, I see a lot of them, like being hopeful that their concerns are going to be addressed in the upcoming SONA. That's at the very least the vibe I got off of the reports I saw.
I think also there are still people who look forward to the SONA, because I think that's our only like sort of direct way of communication with president and the people. Like it's one of the only like platforms for the president himself to speak out what his plans would be for me. So yeah, I think also there's this debate I've been seeing. There's this ongoing debate that the SONA has also sort of kind of lost its purpose because it's not as accessible, or like
What do you mean?
and there are people who say na SONA they mostly cater to the upper or middle class gani, kay especially since the president usually he uses English in his SONA, and there are I saw also street interviews na nag-interview ang mga people sa mga kalye or sa mga market na kuan, and they say na ay dili na kumutan og SONA kay di gyap mo kasabot ni ana, like there's a lot of technical jargon. And also I wanted to ask if you what's your opinion on this debate na kanang anay mga people na di na ganamutan sa SONA kay di sila kasabot, and how would we make it more accessible to those na marginalized pod?
I think that's a really good question, Jude. And so it's something I myself didn't really realize until she brought it up just now. Pero bitaw no, it's a State of the Nation address, and it's not even being said in our tongue. Yeah.
You know, I think if you're a leader, if you're a president, right? I think ang importante, one of the most important skill sets that you have to have is to be able to distill, simplify
Exactly.
information ba? Kay kung maghisgot lang ka og problema og solusyon sa Pilipinas, that's so complicated and nuanced, di ba? Kapoy kina sa there's not enough words. Grammar is not enough for you to talk about what happened to your country last year, di ba? And moving forward, di ba? So importante kayo ang presidente, and I think that's really a skill set that is lacking in many presidents, right? Murag lisod kayo ng ability to be able to distill information ba. Kung naibawaan nga maayo kayo mo simplify og kaning information. Si Bill Clinton is a US president. May kito siya mo simplify og ideas bitaw. And I think that's something that our president or any other president for that matter should be able to know how to make things appear or sound simple, ng masabtan sa common tao bitaw. Kay mo na trabaho gid sa presidente. You're not the president of just the billionaires of the world. You're also the president to the poorest person out there, right?
Yeah.
Reagan was also very good at doing that. Like simplifying things whenever he addressed people publicly. I think that was also a skill set prominent in Reagan.
I think like especially for us students, there were times na you require me mo tanaw sa SONA for like kanang mga reaction paper, reflection paper, and all that. And there were times, especially like high school pa ko, niya wala pa ko ka kanang catch up sa government jargon or technical jargon, I always find myself like spacing out in the middle of the SONA, especially they're very long pud baya and they're very like technical and all. So murag, yeah, even thinking na like kanang kita na like educated ta, or like we have access to education, maglisod pud ganito kung what more sa katong mga walay access or mga marginalized people. So I think, yeah, I agree with you, sir, na it's very essential for a leader to know how to simplify their achievements, or not their achievements, but like how they
the information.
say it, their
the
information.
information Yeah, just same like in journalism lang, you have to like cater to the lowest of lows. Kanang ang sa ako good sa akong issue anyway kanang sa mga like mga speech ng mga like politicians is daghan kay political jargons, and ako di ba ako pol-science student, unsa ba ko nang anang just sanguinis just lang mga naana. So unsa na ba ko anang mga unsa pa lang sa patagi pang mention sa pol-science nato limot nako. So muna usually if we bring up na mga words or mga terms ako dito kay na nagtanga na ko ako na kanya sa lain na.
Usually what happens magud it's us, labi na ako, maski gani ako kanang maminaw ko sa una ba, murag kog laaya, uy niya, murag pila ko sa una, nagmaminaw ko, murag kog feel ako, ituyo kanin nila nga, di kayo masabtan ang, kaya para dili na lang sila i-call out, or like, dili na siya may stage for accountability.
What if? Kay, ako na hear before, dayon ang friend ako ani kay murag ang siya kay ilapod na murag nang PR for some company. Ang gingon daw na if magkalisod na daw ang questions sa example press con, if magkalisod na daw ang mga questions na ihatag sa mga tao, more controversial na, go technical. Kaya para di na makasabot niya, muhilom na lang.
Mo gani kay kung ikaw sa sige, back out na lang ko kamera. Grabe naman iyang answer.
Yeah, I think
di na ko ka-question.
I think that's like a very common like PR move nga in order to I guess confuse people, instead of giving like a direct simplified answer, you just spew out a bunch of words, technical terms nga maghimo kag kinatawag nila nga word salad yan eh.
Yeah. Humot na kay siya nang murag tabunan na ang tilaw yung baho.
You know, basically you're saying so many things pero you're not saying anything at all. Kind of thing.
But then there's also this argument said kay I remember the past presidents, kaya may mga presidents na murag inig SONA kay na mamalikas gani, or like they try to make fun of it. But when they do that,
pusang iring.
But when they do it man pud naman puy moingon na like ay kanang ang SONA wala gi-take seriously nganong naging anak man sila. So there's this like, how do we balance
that? Thing is that you don't need to be kanang mukas para to be formal. You can be simple and still be formal. Lahi na po na mamalikas ka or kanang ano. Kay meron na maganang lahi ba ang conversational na kanang pagtabi lang ug ang formal. You can relate to the people while still remaining respectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't need to engage in kanal.
but the truth is that the truth is boring as hell, right? Right?
Yeah.
Again, going back to the graduation ceremonies, right? Like, what the hell was that, man? That's 5 hours lost in my life, right? For nothing, right? For a piece of paper that actually was not even there yet. Because they have to pick it up in some other time, right? So the truth is boring. Boring as hell. So
how do we make the truth interesting?
At least make it simple na lang, bahalag boring.
Boring. At least ang tawa.
Di makutaw pa man imo talk niya, boring pag yun. Saon na nato.
And the future is boring and also nuanced. Kanang daghang kay mga ginagmay ba nga to explain something bitaw dili bitaw. It's not simple bitaw, it's not as simple as that. So kung ang nakaboring gud na good is they're reading from a script, right? And you can tell nga maybe most presidents, maybe some don't, but you can tell nga they're just reading from somebody else's notes or something, right? Mag nagbasa gud sila ba, di ba?
Yeah.
Unya, boring kayo mo nang usahay, may exciting na mga presidents uban. You mentioned na mamalikas usahay, ilabay nilang ang programa, magkuan siya, mag-spitball na ba?
Saleda kayo eh.
So mas lingaw pa na siya kay ang mga tao dili ma-bored ba. Ang ako magkung kuan ba, pointed ba is there's that one time of the year nga people are watching you and looking at what you've done, and then imo pag yung you're gonna lose them pag yun because you're boring as hell, right? So I think it is your job, right, to make it a little bit more exciting too, right? It is your responsibility for them to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean that could be an explanation as well for the pageantry that they usually do sa SONA. Although update on that, apparently, according
Walang red
to
carpet.
walang
Congress
red carpet.
Speaker Martin Romualdez, this SONA is going to be toned down without the usual show of pageantry.
No red carpet.
Sample ko sa akong pageantry ba? Miss ra ba ang kibo akong pageantry? What do you mean by pageantry?
Well, I think
Ibahaton nila mo. Sayaw sila man.
No, I think it's more of like the red carpet. Na like
Oh, the
mapasa
red-
sila sa
red
red
carpet.
carpet ba yung
Paso
mga
nila.
fashion, Senate and all. It's like paparazzi and all that. But this year it's not happening because they want to give respect sa katong
recent
pagkakrising.
typhoon
Yeah.
victims.
Yeah.
Maybe they should make like a TikTok version of the SONA. How about that? Huh? Huh? The SONA in 30 seconds. How about that?
Oh, like it's 1 minute to you tomorrow.
SONA mentality.
Visit oversimplified na kayo na.
In the history of the SONA, what's been like the shortest SONA ever? Can you look for that? What's the shortest SONA ever? And then the opposite side, what's the longest ever SONA? Right? And kani si atong presidente karon, the 17th president of the Republic, si Bongbong, is he known for long speeches or not? Like unsa man siya, what are we expecting? How long is there like a average amount of time that they they deliver SONAs? I can imagine kung ikaw presidente ka, leader of the Philippines, right? You should understand how short attention span ng ato ang mga kaigsuonan, di ba? So I think that you should take that into consideration because again, this is like my deal breaker. This is really my MO, my thing, man. I think, and I sincerely believe this with all my heart, job number one for a leader, especially a president, job number one is inspiration. That's your first job, bro, sis, Mr. President. Your first job, if you can't do anything else, just do that one thing. Inspire your people because, again, words used properly can take the place of action. So kung maayo ka mo inspire sa imong mga tao, they will move to whatever it is that you tell them to do, right? So mo na importante kayo kanang SONA because there's that one time of the year people are listening to you and don't miss out on that opportunity to inspire your people. Yes, go ahead, Hillary.
But yeah, going back to the question, the longest and shortest SONA. Based on like kanang sa time duration, the longest was Rodrigo Duterte's in 2016, which is like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That's not too long, 2 hours. Although it's long for TikTok, but it's not that long. How about the shortest?
The shortest was Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's, which is 25 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In 2005? Yeah, 2005.
Is there any significance to the duration? Like, was she making a statement? That's why her SONA was shorter. And si Digong, like, was his speech long for a reason, or was this the time nga he threw out his script and just and tried to improvise?
I think katong kang Digong mong dugay kay mo veer off mong gud siya sa script.
Yeah.
Yan na siya mga ipang kuan nga mga tyrant nga mga comments like about sa church
Yung mga
mga unsa pa
tangents.
na. So I think mo nang mas mutaas noon iyahang kuan di man gud siya straightforward kaayo.
Yeah. Wala siya gi-mention na may reason dali nga nang shortest siya, but ang katong shortest SONA ni Gloria is na happen siya after sa Hello Garcia scandal.
Oo kana yes.
Okay.
So probably
I'm sorry.
I am sorry.
So, why did you think she shortened it because of that? They didn't want people to remember her face. The less screen time, the less people remembered her.
The more you talk, the more mistakes you'd make.
Oh, base no.
Yeah, something
Na siya issue gida mutabi pa siyang taman
Oh,
ikwan pa o kayon pa ang yung tibok kinabuhi.
lagi. We're just trying to avoid making herself look worse. Siguro.
See, historically, this is not the first time that Bongbong Marcos will be doing a SONA, right? Historically, maybe you can look it up. Like how long has his SONAs been in the last I don't know, 3 years, right?
It's his fourth na SONA.
Oh, so how many hours did he usually do it? His SONA. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering, if you want to join us, atong hisgutan karon na SONA, unsa maning SONA, para unsa maning SONA.
He's average at the very least an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it's not really that long compared sa katong kang Duterte. Kaya may buong na lang ko na like, kanang, diba usually ang mga SONA kay i-play man na sa radio.
Yeah.
Nakuha niya. May buong na lang ko na like, kanang, layo-layo man ko sa school but before to my house. May buong kigabot na ko lang, man lagi ang SONA. So like it wasn't as long as compared to before niya. Marang dili kayo mo waiver ang attention span.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we should know better now nga ato attention spans are really short, right? Although an argument can be made because of podcasts, our attention has actually become longer too because may mga podcasts nga could take sometimes days, right? I mean, like I've heard of podcasts that happen like for more than a day, and like 10-hour podcasts, and they just take bathroom breaks and so on and so forth. So an argument can be made, but I think the majority of people, we can speak to the majority of the people, and they really want to be as brief as possible, right? Because we have to make a living. We have to do something else. We have to study, right? We have to do something. We have to eat, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to do that, you need to stop. And although there's a thing now called pause, so I guess you can do that. Pero mo lagi, ang problema man gud nga iyang hisgutan, iyang mga solutions nga hisgutan sa presidente is tanang tibok Pilipinas.
Yeah.
Iba niya, ang imong problema dia, for example, sa Cebu, for example, o sa Rakabuk, niya human everything else is not about Cebu. So nagi tendency to be boring, di ba? So kanang ang presidente sa most leaders use like motherhood statements all the time. Not just in campaigns but also during the SONAs. Kanang mga motherhood statements ba, kanang mga I'll take you to the promised land sort of thing. Do presidents and do script writers, speech writers still use that ba? Kaning lever in speech writing?
I think I don't remember. I wasn't able to watch the SONA last year. So from what I can remember, I think there's still a lot of usage of those types of kind of phrases kani nga kan believe in me, I like katong gingon nimo gina where I can bring you to the promised land or something similar to that, not exactly verbatim but something similar to that. Yep. And I think there's still a lot of kato flowery words that they like to put into kan to try and again do PR for themselves, trying to maintain the credibility, their own credibility. I don't know if they're doing it to maintain the credibility of the presidency or themselves, but I think just based on like how I've viewed all politicians recently, I think it's more for themselves should rather than protecting the position itself.
Or more like kanang people want to hear mga good solutions, so to catch their attention, to make headlines, I think mo nang maggamit sila. I will, we will.
Yeah. Ang ganun sa mga tao yung
Or I have done this, right? I think part of that also is that. Diba, sakto ba ko? This is what I've done.
Yeah, ang ganun ba magdang sa tao kay good news or kanang news of hope. So, mugwana siya na, salig lang na ako, mabuhat ni na ako, mukagat ko ni mo. Minaw ko no.
I was just imagining ba nga, this president like reads a speech, really good, flawless speech, right? And at the end, he says something like, and you know what, guys? This speech was written by AI.
Tailor to how you feel free to revise and
make it more lively.
Right.
Like a
Can you
talk
imagine?
show.
Can you imagine how talk of the town, not just the talk of the town, but talk of the world, the speech will be, right?
Yeah, that would be very funny and controversial.
ang katugan yung prayer galit na gibuhat sa Senate sa katong sa court bato katubang ang ending kay to God chuchu yang giba ilang gi copy paste appeal to ang prompt sa ChatGPT na feel free to revise and accommodate to your own needs.
Wait. When did this happen and who did it?
I forgot what's the name
So
of that.
somebody read a
Yeah,
part
it was
of
in
the
court.
ChatGPT
Yeah.
answer that was not
Lagi na
included.
sa confused.
Supposed to be not included.
Oo.
Yeah,
Like, iyang
Something,
basa
do you
tanan.
remember this?
I didn't hear about this.
So tell me about it. Tell us about it, man.
Ito, anong kwan man to prayer man to siya. And mo to kay I think lang ang ga-copy ato kay iyan na like ang iya gorong think is i-copy lang ang whole prompt sa ChatGPT which is supposedly dili maka-compare ron tayang i-copy siya na apil niya ang last part na kato na so gibasa pud sa katong sa nag-lead sa prayer og kanang feel free to
Yeah, kuan siya ni happen siya pag June 20 niya sa Tuguegarao
Last month?
City. daw.
This month? Last month eh.
Yeah, June 20. Tuguegarao City Councilor Grace Arago and
Okay.
ChatGPT for that iconic collab prayer.
Okay. So what was the ending? What was the ending? The last part.
nag-share man ko ato.
Feel free to.
Ato feel free to
I think tuloy-tuloy ba na, diba? So
Tara.
like, nagtuo ka part gyapon sa script niya.
tara oh.
Late na ba ni mo ma-register? Hala, di mo din ni mao.
May we also pray, feel free to modify this prayer or tailor it to your specific needs and benefits. Oh no!
As a user, as a ChatGPT.
This is as a user?
Yeah, I think alam.
Feel free. Can you
Feel free to
Balik ka.
Feel free to
Feel free to modify.
feel free so wait.
i-play na lang balik.
Play na lang ba?
Yeah.
Of all things to use ChatGPT for a
Prayer pag yun.
Prayer na gani ha.
We ask in Jesus' name, Amen. In the name of Father,
Ay
Son.
human na. Wait lang balik.
Feel free to modify this prayer or tailor it to your specific needs and benefits.
So may explanation sa person nga.
Address ba na?
did-
Wala ko address.
Hindi na lang ipa-die down.
Okay.
Wala siya ni-address.
Mhm.
Kat pati si Lord nagulat.
You really can't I don't know man, like kana mga elected officials, they're just representatives, right? And I don't know, the best of us, they're supposed to be the best of us, right? Supposed to be, right? And
Ideally.
and dili juga maka-expect bitaw og kaning I'm actually understating what we need from our leaders ba, because they're just us, they're just humans, they're just among us. So kung imong nasod are full of crooks, what do you expect, right? Your leader will be a crook, right? You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Representative guna sila nato good. So I think it all begins with the schools good siguro sa. Tanaw nimo bay. Bago ra ka ni-graduate bay. Tanaw nimo bay. Bay.
Product of the academy.
Bag-oro juga naka-graduate kani, napan sila pag-asa nga mausab pa ni sila. Kaya napay one more year, di ba? Kundi tagaan pa sila more years para
Ay, so-
more education. We have been complaining about all of these corrupt practices, all of these criminal activities, and so on and so forth of a lot of our politicians. But do you think the academic institutions of the Philippines have failed us? That's why we have all these bad, corrupt officials that are running the Philippines. Do you think it's the fault of our educational institutions?
It's your fault. Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned when it comes to societal problems, it's that usually it's multifaceted. I don't think we can lay the blame solely on the education system here in the Philippines. Maybe that it has a lot to do with maybe it has to do a lot to do with how they were raised at the home as well. Maybe it's there's other social factors in their lives that lead them to go down this crooked path. Pero to say that it's solely the fault of the education system, I don't think I can agree with that. Though there's certainly I can certainly say there's we could certainly see some room for see some improvement in the education system, but I don't know what exactly needs to be improved yet though. But
Maybe it's cultural too, right?
Yeah.
But ang eskwelahan man gud mo ngin mag-mold sa mga utok sa bata go, di ba?
Foundational.
Like foundational ba niya? Kanang politika complicated ba dili ba na sayon, di ba? So sa eskwelahan gyud na siya mga ilang mga political beliefs, di ba? Asa man nila katunan day ilang mga ideology, ilang mga pagtuo, ilang mga morals, political morals, di ba? And so on and so forth, right? So importante kayo nga sa eskwelahan gyud na siya i-mold gyud siya. What do you think of that, Hillary? Unsa may labot sa eskwelahan sa atoang mga what is perceived to be a very prevalent culture of corruption in the Philippines? Perceived. Go ahead.
Yeah, like what you said, education is the foundational aspect that molds what we are or who we are, and also our beliefs. And I think it's also a factor that from what I've heard lang ha, there are mga schools na diligay kayo kanang fully enrich ang ilang pag teach Philippine politics, Philippine history, and all that. As I remember, the Philippine Constitution na subject, it's only available in Hume's na strand, diba? Like in other strands like STEM, Arts and Design, and ABM, and other strands out there, kay wala sila yung Philippine Constitution or even pol-sci subjects. So I think that is also a factor na kanang wala gina-teach og tarong gani ang kanina mga subjects sa atong academic. Can also be a factor for maybe apolitical or kanang mga people that dili na kayo sila mo dili kayo sila engaged with our politics here. I think yeah.
Personally, I think it starts at the home, Jud, because if we're looking at Jud, like the core morals of a child, it starts with the parents and how they mold their children. I think when they get to school, it's more of like a secondary.
Yeah, but and this is a endless loop, right? Because the parents were also went to school, right? So they should know better, right? And what was I gonna say? Continue because I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think yes, to some extent we can murag ma-blame na to ang like academe or ana because if ang teachings gani it's too theoretical and feels like disconnected na sa real life problems.
Right.
Murag makaingon nga mura ikagraduate mo out of touch ka wala ka kabaw jud sa unsay like manghitabo. And also if the kanang institution or ang academe kay they fail to make the student kanang ganing mga critical thinkers or like aware sa ilang panghitabo kanang civic awareness and all that.
Yeah, and so to add lang po usually mo it teaches in the academy is theoretical lang mga which is very idealistic.
Yes,
Dili siya ingon na atong mo reflect siya sa actual what's happening out there. So pwede man siya kanang himuon ka sa school na book smart but not really street smart.
Yes. Yeah. And also if sa family setup po usually we don't like to kanang share kanang mga uncomfortable
like,
truths.
No politics on the table.
Kana. Mo sa nata akong ingon. So like dili mo pakastorya-storya na noon and then unsa may tabuan na.
Yeah, usapol dako man gyud cornerstone ang family sa in terms of if like let's say corrupt ka na pagkatao or ano ka monkey see monkey do kung unsa inyong binuhatan sa inyong pamilya
sa
practice. Normal na ka para di mo kabukang bad but normal man nimo so buhaton.
Like maybe you see your parents doing something that they tell you that's bad, don't do that, but then they themselves are doing it. So
Okay. People complain about a lot. I see a lot of young people complain about corruption and all of that stuff. Ni paguman mag-cheating ni eskwelahan di. Right? Sige, bagot-bot about how dirty our country is. Ni pataka naglabay silang ilahang mga sagbot. You know what I mean? So I think the politicians are really a reflection of who we are. It really is. I mean, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not, they are us. In fact, they are the best of us. At least the majority of us voted in power, right? And maybe they use whatever manipulation in social media, whatever finances or money that they have, but they're partly just us. So dili ka makakita og lihas o layo kayo ngilngig kayo nga tao kung ato ang sample size kita rasa, di ba? So I think it all starts there. You're right. I think the education of the people, but also I think we have to also practice it in school, good ba? So kanang cheating, for example, I mean like kanang cheating sa eskwelahan, kanang mga leakage, whatever, right? I'm also guilty of that. I think man good tapulan mo the good about again. We're lazy, right? So we just want to quick instead of studying, just do the easy way and get leakage along, di ba, whatever. So I think schools should not. I don't know if the word is penalized. I think schools should encourage. What do you think, ba? Like because this is the person that you're gonna become. You know, if you're gonna do this while you're in school, how much more when you go out there, right? You don't like corrupt politicians. Why are you doing that, right? And so on and so forth, right? So and I think also it's also about the money, like capitalism ba, like greed bitaw. Usa sa mga butang nga dili na to ilimod bitaw. Unya we're also very kaning ato ang kultura ba, we're also kaning close to our family. We're so like we love our family, di ba? Mo ning Filipino, di ba? Di ba? Ang uban nga nasod kay the West is very individualistic. Kaning Filipino family oriented yun siya ba, di ba? And some politicians, some people rationalize corruption because they love their family. Seriously, this may sound funny ba, but I want my kids to go to the best schools,
Right.
fly them abroad, I want them to have the best life that they have, right? So more ilang rationalizations ilang kagalingon ba nga, I'm going to do this because I want my family to have the best. So I think there is a kind of flaw to the level of love that you have, but because I think part of loving also is also letting them figure it out by themselves too, right? And maybe that's too much love, siguro, of a family. I think it can be toxic too, right? Like too much of everything can be toxic. What do you think of that?
I think with the too much love, too much of anything can be a little toxic. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the concept that politicians themselves are finding ways to rationalize their practices is also very interesting to me. Because when you brought that up,
Nobody has actually said that, but that's my theory. But
yeah. Pero I have actually seen a politician justify corruption, although not in the Philippines. It was in an African country. I forgot which one exactly. But basically, it was he was being interviewed. He was being interviewed or something like that by the press, and then the politician was there like, if I am not part of the corruption, it's bad. But if I am part of the corruption, I will defend it. Like, so he was so proud about it when he said that too, and there was even somebody in the background hyping him up. It was like, what is happening?
Maybe something like kadang, diba, night times are like, I'm stealing from the national treasury because it's for the nation, something like that.
yeah, something like that.
like a Robin Hood.
Gabi. We're actually, everything is bad man if you're not a part of it.
Yeah,
Dapat ka part para ka.
I heard somebody once say that. It is only corruption if you're not part of it. Anyway, so I hope your SONA viewing karong alas 4 sa hapon will be insightful, inspirational. I think that's very important. Para nako importante kayong inspiration gid para nako lang gid. This is again, if there's one job that a president needs to do is inspire his people, because we know that no one person can do the job of leadership, especially a position like president. So he needs to mobilize everybody, and the only way to do that is through inspiration, through a great speech. Do we know who his speechwriter is? Because some speechwriters actually make careers out of speech writing. So I hope he'll do a good, or she'll do a good job. Is it like a team or what? Di ba importante kang speechwriter, di ba?
Yeah.
It has to be somebody also thinks like you, or at least in sync mo ba? Di ba? Kay makabantay ko anang speech lagi nga klaro kang binasa ba, kay dili those are not your
Yeah.
words ba? Kanang speechwriter should be a fly on the wall of the president. Kana bang like magkuyog niya para he knows how they both
Can,
think ba?
embody your thoughts. Your
Mo gyud ba, di ba?
ChatGPT, make it sound like me.
ChatGPT, who are you? Who are you first?
So before we wrap this up, is there a significance to the time? Ngang alas 4 man, wala ray significance ng alas 4?
I don't think think so, but SONAs, they're usually in the afternoon to like gonna give leeway to those sa kanang di ba manguli gikan sa mga kuan. I remember like when we were still in high school kay mag early dismissal jud mi para
Alright,
makatanaw.
kami po.
Actually karon kay walay class sa Manila ba?
wala sa
Private
class.
and public.
Dili tungod sa
schools.
Bagyo or sa uwan? Tungod sa SONA?
I think kay mo may sa news. na
According to GMA.
yeah, GMA.
Yeah.
SONA.
Sana all.
SONA all. Na kay speechwriter name wala. Wala ta kay. Kitsa may kaila sa speechwriter ni kuan ni BBM. Si ChatGPT siguro dili siguro sa. Wa nga sa.
Co-pilot.
Co-pilot. Notebook LM.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. And the president will be going up on the biggest stage in the Philippines, the stage of Batasang Pambansa. 105.1 TMC.
The best of us.
Oh yeah!